Well, hello! My name is Vid, and today I'm going to be talking about one of the most useful circuits in all of Redstone. That is called the Monostable Circuit. But you're probably asking yourself, what in the world is a monostable circuit and what would I use it for? Well, in order to show you that, I'm going to need a little bit of theory. So what I have here is a piston with a block on top of it, and then some redstone dust going all the way out to a button, and when I push the button, the piston extends, pushing the block up, and then it comes down, pulling the block with it because it is a sticky piston. But what if I told you there was a way that I could make this piston push the block up and leave it there? Now I know there's a couple easy ways to do that. I could replace this sticky piston with a normal piston, that would do it. But I want to be able to toggle it. I want to be able to push it up, leave it, and then come up again and grab it and bring it back down again. The only way to do that is to make this pulse shorter. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If I replace one of these redstone lines here with an observer, when I push this button, okay, the piston leaves the block there, but then after a second, when the button actually retracts again or stops powering, the observer sees a second signal and makes a short pulse fast enough for the piston to reach out and grab that block. One more time here. There it is right there. The problem is, I want it to stay there. I want it to stay there until I push the button a second time. You might think to yourself, okay, what if I just try replacing this button with a stone button? And will that work? Because the stone button has a faster pulse. Well, not really, because we're still getting a single pulse out of the observer, pushing the piston up and leaving the block there. But when the button turns off, the observer sees the line turn off. So there's not really a really easy, convenient way with an observer to make this happen, unless I use a lever. That's not a lever, that's a lever. If I flip the lever, you can see now I have powered this line, but the observer only saw the line turn on, and now the output was a single pulse, which caused the piston to leave the block in its way. And the best part is, when I flip this back down again, there you go. The piston is going to retract and pull the block back down again. The problem here is, I don't want to use a lever. I want to use a button. So how do I do that? How do I take a long pulse like this? This is basically a long pulse, it's an extendedly long pulse, and turn it into a short pulse that only happens one time, even if I have a button here. And the answer, in case you hadn't figured out already, is to use a monostable circuit, also known as the one-shot. Building the monostable circuit is pretty simple. I'm just going to remove this observer right here, and I'm going to replace this block below it with a piston facing straight up. Now keep in mind, this is a regular piston and not a sticky piston. On top of that, we're going to put some sand, and then we're going to break these two blocks right here. We're going to put a repeater coming out of the block and a repeater going into the block. So, a little bit of theory again. When I flip this lever on, we are going to have power come down this redstone line. It's going to power the sand, and then this repeater is going to take the power out of the sand and pass it along to this block, turning it on and pushing the piston up in the air. However, remember, there's a piston under there, so at the same time that this sand gets powered, the piston also gets powered, which pushes the piston up in the air, pushing the sand up in the air, leaving an empty gap in the middle here that the signal can't pass through anymore. So even if this stays on, the piston will stay extended, but the signal will be cut off. So what that looks like in slow motion is that the signal gets passed through and then immediately cut off, becoming a single pulse. And if I flip this lever, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. There it is. You can see that even though I have a sustained pulse here, this one went through, created a single pulse, and then turned off. And the best part is, when I turn this lever off, we're going to lower the sand, but the block stays because we're not passing a signal through anymore, because by the time the sand falls back into place, this repeater is already turned off. The coolest part is we can actually replace this lever now with a button, and now every time we push the button, we're going to have a transition between this block being pushed in and being pushed out. This will work for any circuit that requires a single pulse. And one more time, just to demonstrate, I have a line of redstone here leading up to a lamp. If I push this button here, you're going to see a long pulse, and then the lamp will go out. In fact, if I put a lever here, I can turn it on, and the lamp will stay on until I power the lever off, and then the lamp will go out. But if I replace this with my monostable circuit, so let's pop the piston down right there. We're going to put our repeater forward, our repeater back, and then we're going to get our sand and put it right there. This works with gravel as well, by the way. Now, when we push the button, we're going to see a short pulse from the lamp, but only one short pulse from the lamp. This works exactly the same with the lever. If I flip the lever, you'll see I get a short pulse, even if the redstone stays on here. You can see the piston stays extended, but this one is not transmitting the signal through, and so the lamp goes off. And when I turn the lever off, the piston will retract, but the power will already be off, so no additional signal pulse will go through to that lamp. Just like that. So you can see it's a one-way transition. We get the pulse, and then we don't have the pulse anymore. We've turned a long pulse into a short pulse. I hope that helps you understand what a monostable circuit is, also known as a one-shot. That is how you build it. Pretty easy, and hopefully this helps you in all of your redstone journeys. See you in the next one.